Most beginners getting into FPV start in the wrong place. They focus on the drone when the decision that really matters should be the radio. Because you're not just choosing a controller, you're choosing an entire ecosystem. And if you get that wrong, it can cost you later. So before you buy anything, there are 5 decisions you need to think about. Now, if you're coming from something like the DJI Avata series, you most likely have something like this, the DJI RC3. So let's start there. I'll leave links to everything I mentioned in the description box down below if you want to check them out. First, you need to decide which ecosystem you're entering. This is the most important decision because it determines what drones you can actually fly. If you're coming from DJI, you're most likely using something like the RC3 with the DJI system. The big advantage here is that everything is built in, it's plug and play, quick to set up and easy to get flying. And if you already own it, there's no need to spend extra money on another radio. But there is one downside and I'll come back to that later. Now let's look at ELRS, which is what most FPV pilots are using today. It's widely supported, works with a huge range of drones, and gives you the most flexibility. This is my radio, the Radio Master GX12 with built-in ELRS. It gives you more control, more options, and generally more functionality than something like the DJI controller. The trade-off is that it's not as plug and play. You will need to set things up yourself, and you'll also need a receiver on your drone. Then there's Crossfire. It's been around longer, it's known for reliability, especially for long range, and a lot of experienced pilots still use it. But these days, most people are choosing ELRS because it's more flexible and has more options. Some radios also support external modules, which means you're not completely locked in. But as a beginner, it's still better to choose the right ecosystem from the start. So this decision also determines what you can actually fly. Now, once you've chosen your ecosystem, the next step is choosing a controller that feels right to use. This mostly comes down to size and ergonomics. You've got gamepad style radios like the DJI RC3 and the TBS Tango 2. These are smaller, lighter, and easier to travel with. They take up far less space in your bag. They also feel more familiar, especially if you're used to console controllers. The downside is they usually have fewer switches. Then you've got mid-sized radios like the Radio Master GX12. They are more of a balanced option. Still relatively compact, but with more features and better overall control. And finally, full-size radios like the Radio Master TX16S. They give you the most switches and control, but they are much larger and less portable. At the end of the day, the decision comes down to size and comfort. You want something that feels good in your hands because that's what you'll be using every time you fly. Size and ergonomics are important, but the next thing to think about is the controls themselves, which is your gimbals and your switches. Now this part works closely with the size of your radio because not all radios are built the same. The main thing to look at here is the gimbals, which are what control your movement. Cheaper radios tend to use lower quality gimbals. These are known as potentiometer gimbals. These use traditional resistors that are found in older radios, which can feel less precise over time. Most modern radios now use Hall effect gimbals, which are more accurate and don't wear down in the same way. Some radios also let you upgrade the gimbals later, which is something worth considering if you want to improve your setup over time. There's also different size gimbals, and this will depend on the radio size, and foldable gimbals that are normally sold at a premium because they make the radio more compact and better for travel. There is a noticeable difference between gimbals, and after playing on the simulator with both the DJI RC3 and the GX12 is much more precise when it comes to control. Then you've got switches and buttons. Gamepad style radios usually use buttons, which keeps things compact and makes them easier to travel with. Larger radios tend to have more traditional switches, which give better feedback and more control, but they stick out more and are easier to damage if you're not careful. Some radios even let you customize or swap out switches depending on your preference. For beginners, you don't need loads of switches. You just need enough for basic functions like arming, flight modes, and a beeper. So don't overthink this. Just make sure the radio feels solid and does what you need it to do. Now the next thing to think about is range, power, and frequency. Some radios come with built-in batteries. Others use external ones like 18650s, which are pretty common. The only thing to be aware of is availability. Depending on where you live, they can sometimes be harder to get or more expensive. Now, when it comes to power, radios operate at different output levels. You have low, which is 10 to 25 milliwatts, which is suitable for indoor tiny whoops or short range park flying. You have medium output power between 100 and 250 milliwatts, and this is where most people will be flying, whether that's freestyle or general use, and provides several kilometers of range. Then on the high end, 500 to 1 watt plus is mainly used for long range or better penetration. Just note that flying at maximum output isn't always needed or recommended and may be illegal in some places. But just because a radio can go higher doesn't mean you need to use it. Most of the time, you'll be flying somewhere in the middle. And something important to understand is that power doesn't scale linearly. Doubling your output power doesn't double your range. Now, alongside power, you've also got frequency. Most radios today run on 2.4 gigahertz, which is what the majority of pilots fly. It's fast, responsive, and works well for most types of flying. Lower frequencies like 900 MHz or 868 in the EU are typically used for long range. They offer better penetration, but they are slower and usually not necessary unless that's the type of flying you want to do. So for most people starting out, 2.4 GHz is more than enough. The key takeaway here is that range and power matter, but they shouldn't be the main thing driving your decision. Here's a little cheat sheet which I made for you if you prefer to see things visually. Now, before I give you some recommendations, there is one more thing to think about, and that is future-proofing. Up until now, you've heard me mention things like module bays and upgradable gimbals. What essentially that means is having a radio that you can grow with. Because as technology changes, you don't want to be in a position where your radio becomes unusable and you have to replace it. For example, when I started FPV, Crossfire was the main system, and now ELRS is the standard. Most of my drones were running Crossfire, so when I chose the Radio Master GX12, I made sure it had a module bay. That way I can still fly both my ELRS and Crossfire using one radio instead of needing two. The same applies to gimbals. You can start with a more affordable radio and later upgrade to higher quality, more precise gimbals as you progress. So instead of spending everything up front, you can improve your setup over time. Even though I prefer the size and ergonomics of something like the Tango 2, I chose flexibility over preference. So when you're choosing a radio, think about where you might want to go in the future, not just what works right now. If you made it to this point in the video, that's great because it tells me that you're serious about getting into FPV. And if you could do me a favor and hit that like button, because it will push the video out to more people on YouTube who are also interested in starting FPV, and this will be really useful for them. And if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button. Now, while you're at it, let me know in the comment section what radio are you currently thinking of buying and what's important to you when looking for a radio. Now let's go through some recommendations. If you're already in the DJI ecosystem, then something like the DJI RC3 or even the previous generation makes the most sense. It's simple, ergonomic, and everything is built in, so there's no need for additional receivers or setup. If you're interested in long range and want something reliable with a compact form factor, then the TBS Tango 2 is a great option. Plus, it's the only radio with Crossfire built in. It has a 1 watt output power, foldable antenna with Hall effect gimbals. It runs on a lower frequency band, which gives you better signal penetration and reliability, especially for longer distances. And you can add a module bay, but this requires a little modification. Overall, it's small, well built, and performs really well, although it can be harder to find and usually comes at a premium. If you're on a budget, there are options like the Beta FPV Lite Radio 4 or the Radio Master T8L. These are simple, lightweight, and get you flying without spending too much. If you want something small but more premium, the Radio Master Pocket is a really popular choice. It's compact, runs ELRS, and gives you solid balance between portability and performance. It has the option for a module bay, as well as upgradable to AG01 gimbals. It has an output power of 250 milliwatts, which is plenty. The batteries aren't included. Now, if you want something more premium, then the Radio Master GX12 is a great choice, as it's still relatively small, module bay expansion, and this even has dual band Gemini X, meaning it runs both 2.4 GHz and 900 MHz, suitable for all types of flying, as well as foldable gimbals, 1 watt output power, and comes with a carry case and additional faceplates and switches. This is also cheaper than the DJI RC3, coming in at $170 whereas the RC3 is $200 so it's almost a bargain for what you get. And if you prefer a full-size radio, then look no further than the Radio Master TX16. They have a few variations, but in short, it has a large color touchscreen, 1 watt output power, dual band Gemini X, CNC gimbals, module bay add-on, and a carry case. Again, batteries are not included. It's fully loaded, but large, and will take a fair amount of space in your bag. I will leave other options linked down below if you want to explore further. But if you're starting FPV from scratch, going with an ELRS radio is your safest bet. Looking back at everything, these are the factors to help you choose the right radio. Now, you won't be able to tick every single box, and that's fine. You just have to compromise in some areas versus others. Now, here's something most beginners don't realize. Even though the DJI system is great and it's easy to use, it doesn't give you redundancy. What I mean by this is if you lose video signal while flying, there is a high chance you've also lost your control link, which means you could lose your drone. That's why it's recommended separating your video feed from your radio link. With something like ELRS or Crossfire, even if you lose your video, you're still very likely to have control of the drone, giving you a much better chance of recovering it. And that's why separation matters. Now, once you've chosen your radio, the next thing you could probably look for is a drone. And if you're a beginner, why don't you check out this video here of the Beta FPV Pavo Pico 2. Otherwise, YouTube thinks you should watch this next.